Alright, so this is handling some feedback. So two things. One from a bit ago in my Sargon video. Now let's remember that, okay, let's check real quick. Looks like it's working. One from a bit ago, okay. In this 46-minute video about Sargon, where he's explaining how the anger of these shooters is understandable and we need to understand where it's coming from, which is a thing that we social justice warriors often say about violence around the world. And not that those people shouldn't go to jail, or it's too late for these people as far as I'm concerned. But looking into where it comes from, of course, including if it comes from an unjustified rage from being raised wrong by the wrong people at the wrong time in the wrong place with the wrong situation. Right? So there's no forgiveness necessarily for the criminal is what I'm saying. But of course you can look into what's creating criminals. Laxness. That's what all the fascists always say. We need to be harder on these troubled people. But here they are, just out and out, like, these white guys, they've got a point, though, you gotta admit. Whereas the Palestinians are living in a walled prison, the size of a city in the Gaza Strip and whatnot. And in general, they're in these walled, and it's like science fiction. It's like a science fiction situation, like Escape from New York, kind of. It's bizarre, really, considering what we think is going on in the world, in the modern world. It's a pretty bizarre way that they live. But you don't see the justification why they're driven crazy to violence. Or with the history of the whole Middle East. The whole thing, ever since, the UK went over there and started raping them at the last minute in the beginning of the 19th century. No. Not the 19th, the beginning of the 20th century, the 1900s. So, okay. However, the comment I'm going to talk about in this video, it does have a point. Fortunately, the person already unsubbed from me. Here it is. I am unsubscribing from you, Pyrrho, if you are a haven for jerks. Okay, he said, I think you shaming Sargon is not exactly helpful. I'm a working class person, so I can only assume you think I'm some lowlife. Well, I'm a working class person as well. But I have a good job, but I still have to work, and I come from working class people, and I have a philosophy degree, but I learned a skill a self-taught kind of working class way, but having a college degree helped, because they say, oh, you have to have a college degree, and if it's philosophy, they might give you a pass, whereas if you didn't have it at all. But I'm still working class. But I thought he was talking about how I joked about Sargon trying to be an intellectual, but being a moron, so just acting like a butler. And I thought, well, you're a butler or what? I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's a little rude to butlers, but it's kind of like, yeah, any of us could be accused of being the house slaves when we live in the West and blah, blah, blah. But it turns out he said, no, the jab at being an Applebee's worker. Okay, the Applebee's worker is okay. That's even worse than the butler thing. The Applebee's worker, there's this guy Medicare. I don't know. They say he was, but he isn't. It's a metaphor or something. Like for this kind of guy, again, like a butler, that's knows what's proper. I'm not actually rich, but I understand that, and I can act in this way, and I'm a butler, but the Applebee's, but I don't know. I don't want to trash Applebee's or anything, so fine. Unsubscribe, but the complaint I'm making in the video is he's defending these white immigrant terrorist types in Charlottesville, or this guy. And that's bullshit to defend them on an individual basis. It's totally sensible to say, what's causing this? That's what we should all, that's what the social justice warriors are saying we should ask about it. Okay, so, but you get a point there. On the other hand, I feel like, well, if that's the worst thing in this video, I lost my cool enough to make fun of the head waiter at Applebee's. Now, mind you, all the other waiters at Applebee's are like, yeah, the head waiter of Applebee's is an asshole. You know, I don't feel like I'm getting on the wrong side of the working class here, really. But, you know, okay, one step too far. And I'm talking about a guy that was, while he was, like, making excuses for multiple killers. Mass public killers. And so my mistake is not the important part of this. But sure, but you're going to make a big deal of that, and you didn't say anything about the other. You know, it's like, whatever. Which brings us to this other one. More recently. This guy, Drunk Talk, I think it is, or something. Let's see. Drunk Talk. Yeah, this huge one here. Let's just zoom this in. Can I do that? Let's do this one. Here we go. And this is on, you know, another video about, I forget exactly which ones. I think I went through, well, let's just see. Let's copy it over to another one where we can. I think I talked about sticks and this guy, Valid Thought, and Molyneux. Yeah. Not thinking about it, you can send those out, wake up, and he likes this memeology
I can't hear that without the headphones
approach, you know. And the fact is that these edge...
Okay, there.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, Drunk Talk says, I find myself negatively commenting on your videos more and more these days, and it's a bit disheartening, as I've watched your videos for a good decade, and I enjoyed your debates within Mentam and Modern Mystic. It's just the format has changed since Trump got elected, and you've become an elitist, which I think you really put zero thought by what people mean when they call you an elitist. You simply dismiss it. That's possible that I dismiss it, so I'm going to try to take it properly here. Not too accepting, but not too rejecting. Not too dismissing, but not too submissing. Because what do you mean by me being an elitist? I mean, I don't monetize. I'm just off the top, before we get into whatever it is you're talking about. I don't monetize. I don't say I'm better than other people. I just have an opinion. I encourage everybody else to have their opinion. I like to discuss our opinions and those opinions being different. I don't really encourage or spend a lot of time with people that agree with me, so I'm encouraging that people disagree and that we're bouncing ideas off. And to me, the fact that ideas are like chemicals and we have different ideas that have strong chemical reactions, I'm in the strong chemical reaction group, right? The category, you know, you got your heavyweights and your featherweights. You know, I'm in the strong acidic basic reaction category, right? Not the mild one with the tarts and things that are lovely and subtle, but more in the explosive and radical kinds of areas. I actually do also like the subtle areas, but, basically I like the surreal edges of the interaction of ideas. So do I dismiss that I'm an elitist? Yeah, because I just have an opinion. I don't, I believe I'm right, so do the other people that I disagree with. If they didn't believe they're right, I wouldn't have anything to disagree with. So it's some sort of weird catch-22 you want to pull out, because you also have opinions that you think you're right. And how does that make you elitist? But let's get into it. Maybe you get more detailed. Oh, good. I'll elaborate. You come off as someone who thinks their opinion is far more important than anyone else's. More important than anyone else's. No. I don't act like... You think I'm acting like I get an extra say in this society. No, I get one voter's vote in this society. I never say my opinion has a special importance, even if I wish it did. Or I have ideas that I wish the people who do have an outsized proportion, or all the little people adding together, like myself, to have a proportion. Yes, I wish we had different policies, but I never say that I do have an extra privileged opinion. Quite the opposite. I think my opinion is discounted. I think more people agree with me than I get policies out of the politics. I don't think my opinion... In other words, even if I wished my opinion was more important, which I don't, I believe in democracy, I think I should just get a vote and a say, an out loud say, to try to give everybody a chance to hear that, hey, here's what I think is important, and then we all get our vote. I think it's actually less important. I think because of the influence of money in politics, my little teeny tiny vote is actually worth less even than it would normally be. Less than 1/300 millionth. More like 800 millionth, because of the distortion that money plays. And if someone has a different opinion than you, and your group think they must be evil, well, like what group think? Because I'm pretty individualistic, which is why I invent my own name to describe my own position, because it's unique, of a progressive libertarian believing in individual liberty, a la John Stuart Mill on liberty, and progressive because we can advance towards that goal. We can make progress. I never say anybody's evil. You're a liar. You're projecting. You probably don't know you're lying. You're just crazy. You're having a hallucination of projected paranoia. I don't say anybody must be evil. Ever. I've never said that. Ever. Never once uttered anything like that. Not the word evil or any sort of an analogy to it. And as far as the free speech thing that's coming up, yeah, I proved it. I've had everybody. There's everybody, including people I would terribly disagree with. If they got violent and tried to force their system on us, I'd fight back. But they're not violent, so we can discuss this. And they show up, a full spectrum of people, including people I adamantly disagree with, but it doesn't mean I call them evil. I don't. We discuss things. We trade ideas back and forth to get a serious idea. Do you really think that? Really? Okay, if that sounds extreme, are you doing it because you're being... No, you don't think it's extreme, and so on and so forth. Disagreeing with me doesn't make you a shitlord. Making jokes about that you're for concentration camps or shooting immigrants like at a Trump rally might joke about, that makes you a shitlord. Not disagreeing for me. A white supremacist and a Nazi. Well, no, it's when you think that whites are better and you, Nazi is, maybe metaphorical unless you join a Nazi party. But I certainly think that a lot of fascist-y kind of people, you could call them Nazis. So what are you whining about? It's just words, free speech. You're the one that's for free speech, right? You are morally superior to everyone else that disagrees with you. Well, you might think that I am. I'm trying to do the most moral thing that I believe is moral, but I also assume that that's what you're doing in some cases. Sometimes people that disagree. Sometimes people are trying to be, morality is just a constructive criticism of my natural self, so fuck morality. Some people do that, and then are they morally superior? No, they're trying to break morality. But I do believe in a moral system, how you should treat others, and so I do believe there's a way to compare one moral system to the other. And if you think that it's totally great and moral to be like locking up kids whose even their parents didn't do anything wrong, it's totally legal to apply for asylum, then yeah, you're morally inferior for believing that. Oh no, well, just deal with it. You think I'm morally inferior because I'm pro-choice, whatever. That's just the way it goes. I can deal with it. Oh, but you can't deal with it. Well, tough luck for you, I guess. I guess it's going to be hard to be you. And we should all just agree with you. I don't actually believe people should all just agree with me. I believe we should spread out and everybody should say and think and agree with what they actually agree with. And when it's different, as it most often, more often than not is, then we'll work that out and figure out how we can have a democracy where we go forward on the things we do agree with. Hopefully. And often we go forward with the things we don't agree with. For example, we have the baby concentration camp prisons, and I don't agree with it, but we have them, and I'm not pulling out my machine guns to fight it. I believe we'll fight it with democracy, even though it's a human rights violation. Right? You do everything you can to not take it to, we'll just shoot it out. No, we're supposed to use it democracy and the republic, the rule of law, and the democratic election of people that can change what the laws are. Now I have been guilty of whataboutism. Okay, here's where he gets, reasonable. Now I have been guilty of whataboutism, meaning I'll point out you were awfully quiet when Obama or Hillary did the same thing. Same thing as what? That's pretty fucking general. And no, there are videos I've linked to other people many times where I did question Obama. Hillary was never president. The thing is, they are, like, Hillary is criminal. Obama, I don't think we ever caught him being criminal, but I definitely don't like his politics. It's pro-war, pro-spy state, moderate, Republican, conservative Democrat, and that weird center that to me is a far-right thing. Hillary was never president, so I don't know what you're talking about, but I dislike the Clintons since the 90s. It's just that they're no way as low-rent mobster bullshit as the Republicans. Okay? They're less corrupt than Republicans. Does that mean they're not corrupt? No. Political parties in general are a corrupt thing. They're just not as bad as Republicans. Okay? Can you understand that? And you said did the same thing. I was one of the people calling Obama the deporter-in-chief and complaining that he didn't stop Gitmo and complaining, that he oversaw legalization of the big spy surveillance state that was illegal, that we caught, because of Snowden and Manning. We caught Bush doing. And they just kept doing it. And they made it legal, actually. Not all of it. They're still doing the illegal parts. But they made it more legal. And that was under Obama. And, yeah, I criticize that. So you're bullshit. It does not absolve Trump. Yeah, it certainly doesn't. But you seem to be saying that that's a reason for you not to give a shit about what Trump's doing. I say put them all in jail. Don't point to one of them and say, but he also did a crime. Good, put them all in jail. We lost Elliot, and that's actually a benefit to the Democrats, like Elliot Spitzer. He was prosecuting, banker types finance types. It was a big loss to lose him. But we're like, well, he went, he prosecuted prostitution rings and went to prostitutes rather. So that's not very good. Sorry. Weiner. He was being a great liberal, but then was tweeting and Me Tooing his penis all over the Twitter and his maybe on drugs kind of. How'd you accidentally tweet that on your official account? What? Public instead of private? What? Should use a different app or something. And we lose those guys. And good riddance, Whereas Hastert, they still use the Hastert rule. He's a big pedophile. Longest leader ever of Republicans. Big hero. Just like Reagan. This love Reagan. Broke the law, sent, arms to Iran. Took the money gave arms to narco-terrorists that then imported drugs on the same planes we sent them weapons on, brought cocaine back to the United States. That's their favorite president. That's Oliver North. Hey, could you be the leader of the NRA? You seem to worry these two in your video is convincing people they are right in your response to combat this. Yes, people are believing what sticks and, the white nationalist terrorist Sargon. Yeah, they're convincing people. Whatever, I'm in a minority. Big surprise. People like me have been in the minority for thousands of years. Millions maybe, who knows. Whatever. We're here to stay though. I'll label them as white supremacists and throw in a Hitler reference of having 12 years. Well, that was just natural. I did not artificially insert that. It seems reasonable to me to see that link, because to me that link happens naturally. If you want to deny there is any such link, I think that's fair as well. For someone who is supposedly smart, you're awfully lazy at arguments. How about you tell us why they're wrong and you are right? Well, I think I am saying that. I think you're full of shit about this, and I do say why I think I'm right. Like, for example, with the immigration. Immigration is necessary. The fact that we don't allow the immigration is why our factories are going to the whole country of Mexico instead of a few Mexicans coming up here and paying taxes in the U.S. and having factories up here, right? It's actually better if American workers are going to have to compete against Mexicans. It's better for the Mexicans to have to come up here and live in Detroit and compete with Americans than the whole factory go to Mexico. I mean, that's going to give a big advantage to the Mexicans if the factory's in fucking Mexico now, don't you think? So, that's why they're wrong and I'm right about immigration. If you want to go on and all the stupid things with Molyneux and race realism, there's a million things, bring it up. Bring it up. I have brought it up myself. Well, you never did bring up what I had to, know it. Yes, whatever. I brought it up. You didn't notice. That's your problem. If you're not smart enough to make that argument, research the leading debaters in this from the 80s and 90s when they actually made those holding these views a joke and their memberships dried up. Okay, because you're anti-fascist, right, officially, but right now it just swung too far to the left. Like my grandma said, the race thing is just where the pendulum's already swung so far that the blacks are having advantages. I got nothing against them, but they're getting those advantages, which is like bullshit. It's just not true. It's just not true. If you look at statistics, it's never become true yet. Should it be true? No, I think we should balance out. The pendulum should settle and it's be like, individual situations instead of systematic racial biases. But we're obviously not there yet. And if anybody says, oh no, we are, well, you're a fucking idiot. Oh, that's elitist. No, that's just me saying you're an idiot. I'm a nobody with one vote in the world and an opinion. I'm giving you the opinion. It's like, how dare you say I'm an idiot? Well, you think you're not an idiot? How dare you think you're not an idiot? I've commented against your views of stopping free speech. I have proven that I don't want to stop free speech. I haven't blocked you. I haven't blocked a million other people. There's like 4 people that I've blocked in the history of this channel, and I have unblocked those people as well. And there's reasons that I ended up doing that, and you could like them or dislike them, but that's 10 years. And people have free speech on my channel, and when I've done Illusions Exist, I let right-wingers come and even dominate the time spent. When they're in the minority, I let that person go every other time when people are arguing with them, and you get a lot more time, and that happened, and I've done that, and it proves that I'm for free speech. So, fuck you, you're projecting. You're the one that doesn't like free speech. You don't like hearing me say my opinions. So, screw you. You're the one that's complaining about free speech. I never shut anybody up. As a matter of fact, I try to talk to people like Robert Wallace or Quintique or any of these morons with their crazy ideas. Oh, don't call them morons. Whatever. They're calling me names. Look, I have a different opinion from them. I could call them morons, or I could just say, hey, I disagree. Let's talk about our disagreements. Whichever. It doesn't matter to me. Whichever one is more important is the one that would work, and neither one works because they're scared. Okay? I don't stop no free speech. I try to get people to speak up, and they're fucking scared. And you too, with these long comments, but why not make a video? We want to talk face to face? What is this bullshit? With people you disagree with. Simply because, unlike you, I fear creating a tool or weapon will eventually be used against anyone later. Yeah, you fear. I don't know, maybe like the Espionage Act of 1917 to go after journalists and whistleblowers. Yeah, oh my god, yeah, that's been a problem. But for some reason, you think Google banning Alex Jones is correct. I didn't say it was correct. I said it's private. If you want to have free speech, it's got to be a public square. There's no way you can start saying, hey, people can come on my land and put up protest signs right here in my front yard. No, I'm sorry, it's private property. Your free speech is in the public property. So make a public storage place where we can make things like Facebook and if the government made a place where you could store data that belongs to you, and people made apps that just use that data, so your videos would be up on this network, and YouTube would just be referencing it, and everybody would have access to those videos as a common storage. You could still have private involvement in the apps, and people would own their data and have free speech. Nobody could delete it because it was the government that can't do that. But you don't want to do that because you hate government programs. The government's the worst. What's really good is Coca-Cola. They really serve the people and the interests of everybody. And it's the government that doesn't. Fuck Alex Jones. He's a snake oil salesman. You think that Google banning a snake oil salesman is the worst thing. Well, it's not as bad as if they start banning people that aren't snake oil salesmen. When they came for the snake oil salesman, I said nothing because I was not a snake oil salesman. And then good riddance. Is correct, not thinking 30 years from now, maybe people who aren't snake oil salesmen will also be blocked. Well, that'll be a different thing. You see, I'll be able to fight for my free speech and the free speech of people saying honest opinions without defending people that lie to make money off of male vitality vitamins. New people who might have different views will be in charge of Google, and they might just ban people like you. You know what? I'm 51. I've lived through when it was conservatives banning communist ideas. Oh, and that's still true. They're very liberal. No, very liberal is communist ideas. You don't see any of those in the mainstream. Right? That's an idea that has happened. There's been papers and people do believe in it and want to push it. You don't see that in American mainstream. They're already banned. Liberals, people like me that want to say, hey, do a land tax. Do Henry George's ideas. For that matter, even something like MMT or different kinds of monetary theory, they're all banned from the media right now. Different papers would be. Right now, Google through YouTube is banning anybody that is on the edges, or even cussing now, saying fucking bullshit and blah, blah, blah. You can't get monetized. On the both edges of anybody that's saying anything that might not be, Leave It to Beaver family friendly. It's just Alex Jones. Alex Jones is a fucking lying piece of shit, and he's the kind of one that ruins it for everybody. Because he has to be banned because he's just lying to make money off of scam products. Yeah, and I don't trust Google. They already do ban people. The only reason they don't ban me is because I follow the rules. I'm like, here's what this private world is like, so I could do it. If we had more of a civil rights and it was a government public square, then I would probably do things slightly different, but not so different you wouldn't recognize me. I have all the same opinions, right? There'd be, but if I was allowed to use copyrighted information to the full extent of the law, as opposed to what YouTube wanted to interpret it as in order to get along with copyright owners of massive wealth, we do, I'd play those songs or whatever, it would affect exactly, what kind of data you could have in store and put out there. But as it is, I follow that. I don't want to violate copyright law. I've used some copyrighted music as some experiments recently, as people might remember, to see at the point at which there was going to be a fair use. Or I like the idea that if I use a song, that the owner of that song can put the ads on my video, so I don't want to monetize my videos, but if I could use copyrighted materials in a fair use way with little snippets and ideas from those, that would be a fair trade. They could get the ad revenue, but it didn't quite work out like that. This is the total premise of a slippery slope argument. Yeah, you're the kind of arguer that makes that bullshit. Rewatch your own videos from 10 years ago. Hey, put a link, motherfucker. I'd love to rewatch. How about I argue with... Find one video from 10 years ago you think I will disagree with. Link it. I will go through it minute by minute, and we'll see if exactly which parts I disagree with. I bet I disagree with nothing, but I will have things to add that I've grown. That's what I believe. Jesus. So butthurt. What did I say to you? You're projecting a paranoid delusion onto me. I'm totally for free speech, which I prove by putting up with everything. Fact. So true. Also, you might be lying probably to yourself about me speaking on Obama and Hillary was never elected. Whenever it was come up, I was critical of them. You're the one using a double standard. You're saying that since you did hold Hillary to account for Pizzagate, now you don't have to hold Trump to account for anything. No. Yeah, what bullshit. Okay, probably, let me check the comments then now. There's probably nobody here or something. Where's the comments on this when I do this? Jesus Christ. Why is that so big? It's not supposed to be big. Oh, hey, Avocado King Kush. Free movement of animals, gang. That's right, move freely. Animals. I'm into that. Praise dog.